Have you ever felt invisible in a room full of people? Like your value is measured only by what you give, what you tolerate, or how long you can endure the subtle erosion of your spirit? Maybe it's someone who constantly demands your energy, your approval, or your patience. Maybe it's a pattern in your life, repeated so often that it feels almost inevitable. Today, I want to speak directly to that part of you that's tired of bending, pleasing, and shrinking yourself just to avoid conflict or disappointment. It's uncomfortable, isn't it? To even admit that walking away might be the bravest choice. Society whispers, stay, compromise, be patient. But history, philosophy, and human psychology tell a different story. Sometimes, the most powerful act isn't persuasion or endurance. It's the quiet, almost radical decision to step back, to reclaim your time, your peace, your dignity. Think of Nietzsche, who warned that modern life often conditions us to worship weakness disguised as kindness. He who despises himself still respects himself as one who despises, he wrote. In other words, the people who drain you, manipulate you, or belittle you, sometimes they are the ones projecting their insecurities onto you, expecting you to carry them as your own. And for years, perhaps decades, we comply because we fear confrontation, loss, or solitude. But what if the most profound act of courage is realizing that not everyone deserves a seat in your life? Tolstoy, in his letters and diaries, observed that those who cling to toxic attachments rarely understand the freedom that comes from letting go. He saw that life becomes lighter when you stop trying to convince the wrong people of your worth and start honoring it yourself. This is not selfishness, it's clarity. It's the recognition that some relationships, some friendships, some bonds are not meant to nurture you, but to exhaust you. We see it often. The parent who seeks control, the friend who manipulates under the guise of care, the partner who demands your emotional labor while giving none in return. Psychology calls this people-pleasing, a behavior rooted in fear, attachment, and a deep desire to belong. But here's the twist. Your desire to be needed does not justify your oppression. The ancient Stoics understood this. They taught that virtue is not passive. It requires discernment, boundaries, and sometimes the courage to leave a situation that erodes your character. Consider a story from Bonhoeffer, who faced impossible moral choices in a world riddled with evil. He understood that standing by the wrong people could be as dangerous as taking the wrong action. Our lives are not measured solely by our endurance, but by the wisdom to choose where to invest it. And sometimes that means walking away, even when guilt, fear, or nostalgia clings to you like a shadow. Here's another uncomfortable truth. People rarely change unless they want to. And the painful reality is that waiting for someone else to transform themselves is often a trap. Machiavelli, infamous for his analysis of power and human nature, observed that most people act from self-interest, not virtue. You cannot force empathy, generosity, or understanding onto someone who does not possess it. Recognizing this is liberating and terrifying. It frees you from the illusion that your persistence can save others at the cost of your own soul. Let's take an example closer to home. Imagine a friendship where you constantly compromise, apologize, and bend over backward, only to be met with entitlement or indifference. You start to feel small, overlooked, and anxious. You might think, if I just try harder, they'll see my worth. But the truth is, they already see your worth. They simply choose not to honor it. And no amount of reasoning or sacrifice will change that. Walking away is not surrender. It is the act of reclaiming yourself from the subtle theft of your energy, time, and joy. Now, I don't want you to confuse walking away with abandonment. There's a difference between retreating to protect your spirit and shirking responsibility. The former is courageous. The latter is avoidance. The line is drawn in awareness. Do you leave because you are afraid or because you respect yourself enough to say, I deserve peace, respect, and reciprocity? Here's where the introspection gets deeper. Walking away is also a mirror. It forces you to confront why you stayed too long in the first place. Fear of loneliness? Fear of judgment? The habit of people-pleasing? These are shadows we carry, often unconsciously, and the act of leaving illuminates them. It exposes the patterns that have kept us trapped, not just in other people's lives, but in our own self-neglect. Philosophy offers a final, haunting insight. Plato wrote that the soul must align with truth to live fully. If part of your life, a relationship, a habit, a commitment, is misaligned with truth, it corrupts your inner harmony. Walking away is not a defeat. It is a reclamation of alignment, a conscious choice to live in accordance with what is real, authentic, and life-affirming. And here's the final twist, the uncomfortable revelation that most people will resist. Walking away does not always come with explanation, apology, or recognition. The world may never understand your choice, and some relationships may never reconcile. That's not failure, that is liberation. It is the courage to prioritize your own humanity, to honor your limits, and to refuse participation in patterns that diminish your spirit. So, what does this mean for you? It means looking honestly at the people, the situations, and the obligations that drain you. It means questioning why you tolerate what you wouldn't tolerate from a stranger. It means practicing the rare and radical art of saying, I will no longer participate in my own diminishment. It means understanding that your time, your attention, and your energy are precious, and that walking away can be the most profound form of self-respect. If you've ever lingered in a toxic friendship, a draining family dynamic, or a partnership that leaves you empty, know this: the decision to leave is not betrayal. It is courage. It is wisdom. It is an acknowledgement that you cannot pour from an empty cup, that your life is too sacred to be held hostage by those unwilling to see your value. In the end, the most powerful lesson in human philosophy is simple yet revolutionary. Liberation often begins with the willingness to walk away. To leave the energy vampires, the manipulators, and the people who cannot, will not, or do not respect you. To step into your own life with the clarity of someone who has chosen themselves first. And in that choice, painful, terrifying, and beautiful, you will find your freedom. So ask yourself, who or what in your life is silently draining you? And are you brave enough to walk away? Not as an act of cruelty, not as a means of punishment, but as a declaration. I will honor my life, I will honor my mind, I will honor my spirit. Because sometimes the strongest thing you can do is leave. And sometimes leaving is the only way to finally come home to yourself.